So people, it's Chatter Corner, a morning edition of it.
Welcome, everybody. This is the
Welcome.
corner where we chat.
Where we usually chat when we can come into the studio to chat.
Yeah.
We haven't been in here for a while now, so it's kind of new.
I feel out of touch a little bit.
Yeah,
Because it's been a while.
absolutely. So we don't have the freedom to do as we wish. We do have the freedom to listen to music, though, and today's talk is kind of centered around this hand-in-hand connection of music and freedom. So obvious, isn't it, that you would think that these can only go together. But we have learned that confinement and listening to music in confined spaces without our friends is a different kind of freedom. It's all in your mind, if you can get there, at least.
Yeah, we just talked about this, how much some of us miss the feeling of being there on the spot and listening to the DJ live, letting him or her take us on a journey within ourselves, and of course surrounded by friends. And that's a feeling, you know, I was thinking of this like for the past more than 10 years of my life. It was always an option to escape the hardships of reality. It's not always hard, but sometimes it gets hard. And
I mean, just to handle life as it happens for some people. I mean, I don't know, you guys. I think it's the same for you. So you need that communal trance, I guess, something like that.
Yeah.
To release all that tension, because what we talked about now that we met after many weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Is that we kind of realize that, of course, both of us meet, some friends. It's not that we are totally isolated or living on our own in our houses or flats, but it's not the same. And we just realized that ever since we kind of started growing up, early teenage years, there were the parties where you could gather and basically, dance. I didn't even really make friends. I just went out there and danced with lots of people together.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a release of anything that as a teenager bothered you, then later on as a young grown-up bothered you. And I think this will go on until death. Just open the gates.
Right.
So that's really missing.
Yeah.
It's not even the social experience that's missing as much as the social trance. I would say. So music and freedom is kind of like music and trance.
PHILOSO.PSY.
PHILOSO.PSY,
as we call this episode, because it's definitely all the trance music, all the descendants of the original trance music is a way a way to re-energize.
And also, or very famous motto, to free your minds. And to free your minds basically means to let go of all the conditioning that perhaps is not good for you individually and not good for the community, for society, for the world, I think this is, of course, connected, as we are all. And of course, I have something prepared to read for you by Raja Ram about the trance and the rave, because trance is, of course, not only connected to psychedelic trance, and rave does not only mean, doing this in a disco, but it's much more ancient. Okay, so it did start with the caveman. It did start with the first sounds.
Exactly.
And here's this little part by Raja Ram in the Azorian Prophet, which you can read monthly. Trance music has been going on from the beginning of mankind, since the caveman started playing with marbles and rubbing two sticks together. Then finally hearing the wind blowing through the reeds by the riverbank. And then he heard the sound and started beating out time on animal skins and rocks, scrapping things together and chanting sacred words and sounds. The tribes came together round the fire and started to make music, for man was attracted to the sound of repetitive beats and started to sway and dance. Trance was born. And since then, the art of playing music to lift the spirit and soul was established, and then the caveman became the rave man, and the parties began. To raise the consciousness of the tribal clans, music and beats became part of the fabric of society, and necessary as well as an enjoyable experience for the meetings and offerings of the tribes. And there's more. But yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Very well spoken.
I'm glad that you found this little quote, because when I was thinking about what to say today, also I was trying to roll back where it all started, because what we are living through, or not at this moment, but in a normal situation in these trance festivals, is considered to be a modern way of get together, of festivals, of music. But it actually trance, if you think about this word, it goes back to the very early days of humankind, and it's always been part of human culture, getting together around the fire and finding the repetitive sound that puts you in this trance mindset, and that helps you to navigate through life, to let go of the everyday race, and stuff. And it's always been there. It's not a new thing. We just found new ways to do it, and on a bigger scale.
Absolutely, and of course the very obvious. So music is or language that has no barriers,
Right.
So one of the most special things about these huge transformational or psychedelic festivals, however you want to call it, gatherings, right, is that usually they're global, international. That's why, for example, it's very hard when we're thinking about how we will restart the gathering, right? That you don't want a solution where not everybody is included. We have to think about these solutions. Lots of festivals are, like Boom, for example, that they would have like smaller gatherings if they can't hold a big event, etc., etc. But that's not the solution, guys. Of course, we want it to be as international as, as it would natural be. So, yeah, and you don't need to understand each other's languages to be able to understand each other. And these very elemental feelings of being a human, which is love and which is compassion, which is kind of vibrating on the same frequencies, and thus creating some kind of vibration that's more positive than what we see. So yeah, music is the language we all speak.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. It's something that brings everybody together, no matter their background or culture or origin, nation, anything. It brings everybody together.
And so if you look at it, music has also been a very, either we can say passive aggressive, but what I meant was passive, pacifist way of protesting. Revolt. I mean, if you only look at who we always connect ourselves to, the hippies of the 60s, 70s. So what did they do? They did not fight. It was make love, not war. But it was through music and through gathering in those amazing numbers, just the sheer mass amount of people thinking alike. That was pretty frightening for those who did not want the freedom of the masses, because then you are not rulable, controllable. Yeah,
and I think we need to talk about this, because apart from the fact that trance has always been part of human life in a way, and then of course some institutions created certain rules for it, and then it became a bit less or a lot different than it originally what it meant for the tribes and these people. But the psytrance that we all love today, it originates from Goa trance, which culture originates in the counterculture era and the hippies and the lifestyle. So for me, it's an interesting question. What was first, the egg or the chicken? Was it first the culture and then music, or was it the music that created the culture? I don't know.
Why don't you answer that, guys? So send us your answers to where?
I don't
Can
know.
they send any answers anywhere? Write it in the comments below the YouTube video, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
maybe those guys who went to Goa, to India,
Yeah.
and started this new way of leaving the rat race behind and creating the sounds that was the child of this community. So maybe they could tell us how it all began.
Yeah, I'm looking for answers by Rajadam. In the meantime, sorry, I'm paying attention to her.
Maybe next time we should ask him what he thinks about that, because he's one of those guys who has great knowledge about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, about the community that started in Goa.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking now. I think it's almost like the chicken and the egg came into being simultaneously at the same time. So the egg and the chicken are born at the same moment, guys. We just found the solution, actually. Because, as soon as you have a sound that gathers a community, you have a kind of a culture.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of affect each other. But this is very interesting if we just look at... well, we can only talk about our festival because we know that the best or have the most inside information about it or in-depth information. Was very interesting, and I remember there was a little bit of conflicted feelings when Ozora kind of became not only a Goa Trance Psytrance festival, which meant the introduction of world music stage. For example, I think that was a big step. And also I do remember that not everybody felt they belonged to the main stage dance crowd of all those people who are part of the psychedelic community that Ozora kind of stands for today. So this is why this whole topic is also interesting, because you would have different kind of music, of course, at the Dragon Nest, and very much different kind of music on the main stage usually. And the people still share similar cultural, I don't know, riches or
beliefs
or ways of thinking, I guess. So it is the music, but it isn't the music.
Right. And that's what's so interesting about it. And that's why it's so different from any other festivals, because in other festivals, you go for the music, of course, to have fun, to meet your friends, but you pick your place based on what kind of music they play. Is it your kind of music that you like? But here, I talk to many people who return every year, and so many of them say the same, that they don't come because of the music, they come because of the feeling and the shared values that creates this community feeling over there.
And in connection with this, I thought of talking a little bit about, you know how some people are worried about things not staying the same, things changing. More concretely, that Ozora has changed throughout the 20-something years. Wow, so surprising that in 20-something years something changes, isn't it? I mean, okay, I'm being sarcastic, of course. So yeah, worried about the crowds becoming bigger, worried about there are more kinds of people there. But I think that's actually music equals freedom equals inclusion of other like-minded people. I mean, somebody doesn't have to be there from the very beginning. Somebody doesn't have to dress like an elf to have the similar or the same value system, actually. And I think that's important. So, I'm kind of, pissed at people who are like, I'm so full of love, light, and shine, but don't come to this festival because it's ours. It's not yours. You're an outsider. We don't want to include you. You're going to make it mainstream. It doesn't work like that, guys. I don't think so. Of course, you don't want it to change in its values, but you cannot say, oh, you don't look like us. Don't come.
Yeah, and that's one of the greatest feelings when you see somebody who comes for the first time and that little seed is planted in them and it grows and it changes them. It changes their way of looking at things and finding something new that they can feel it's theirs in a way. And that's the best thing about it, I think, when new people are getting involved.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, so when we started partying as a Goa trans community, let's say, a very small community, which was usually not accepted by the mainstream community, had different values, had more freedom in their way of self-expression, in their way of living life. I think many of us kind of didn't agree with the way, the countries where we were born in or where we lived in functioned, society in general, these limiting beliefs that had no purpose, actually. Anyway, so we did start out like outcast little group of people, very underground, very illegal. But actually, that's not the point to keep it like that. The point is if you have good intentions and good values, you would want to spread that. You would want to make other people have this same kind of goodness towards each other.
Exactly.
Well, okay, I'm generalizing. Not everybody who likes psytrance and transformational festivals is a good person, okay? So don't believe every guy or girl you meet there. Come into my tent. I will show you what I can do for you. Don't do that. Don't go in the tent. So.
Yeah. But it is a way of refuge for many, and it is in a way like a religion. But nothing is written down. There's no strict rules to live by. The only rule is acceptance and freedom and sharing.
And to not harm. So your intent should be, I think the intent is very important.
Right.
Intent.
Right.
In everything, in everyday life. What's your intent? Is it good? Is it bad?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the only black and white thing I can kind of pinpoint. What's your intent?
Yeah. And people sometimes say or do silly things they don't think through. All of us.
Yeah.
But if it's not because they have a bad intention behind it, then it's just a mistake, and you shouldn't, go after each other like you see today on social media and many places. It's yes. Sometimes people say things they regret. We all do. I am
wipe out the comment.
Yeah,
you can do that if you say anything like that. No, I'm joking, of course.
I am still haunted by a few things I said 20 years ago or whatever,
What?
because it was a silly thing to say.
What?
And no.
Give me an example.
No, I don't want to, because I'm not proud of those. But it's not because I don't think I was a bad person when I said that. It's just I made a mistake.
And you were. That was your best knowledge at the time.
Sometimes it's just you don't think it's through.
Yeah.
And you do something or say something, but you shouldn't judge a person based on that.
Yeah.
And like on a festival, yes, it does get annoying when people don't know how to respect the other one. There are like very basic ways to respect each other on a festival like this, like respect the other person's trance.
Yeah.
Like when they are on the dance floor in a trance state,
Yeah.
you don't go there and start shouting shit in their ears. It's not what you're supposed to do. You should respect them.
Exactly.
And yes, it does get annoying, but come on, everybody learns. The first time
hopefully.
I went to a Goa festival, I had no idea what the hell is this? Where am I? How am I supposed to
react to this? Or,
react or handle and you learn and you gotta be patient with each other.
And nowadays, in this very specific time period we are all experiencing, this connectedness of music and freedom is even more important. In as much, I mean, what's happening now, guys? What we can all do, we who are involved in this music, you know, it would be strange. I would have to say music entertainment industry, but it sounds so strange because for many of us, it's really like a living choice. It's like a kind of a dimension that you want to keep up, you want to keep living. So this that's another topic for morning coffee. Anyway, but yeah, the freedom actually that we only have right now, many of us, is being connected through the music that our artists and performers still are pumping out. I mean, guys, you're amazing artists, performers, dreamers, visionaries. We love you so much. I'm so very honored to hear you. Yeah, so that's kind of how we can keep the freedom up by supporting or artists and musicians, I guess. Always.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
No other way.
And you know, so many things popped in my head right now. I don't know where to start. But for example, I now it's a time where we cannot really gather in big numbers, but we do still gather one-on-one or with a couple of friends.
Secret.
Right now, for example, in Hungary, the rule is you cannot gather more than 10 people in an environment.
Yeah.
But you know, you can meet your family and your friends are your chosen family. So
and you have to do this by 8 p.m. every day. 8 p.m.
You have to be home.
Lockdown.
So yeah,
That's not happening
these
always, don't
rules
worry.
actually created an environment where, like, I visited some friends, and of course I haven't seen them in a while, so I will spend the night, or we spend the weekend together in their house, and we talked about this, how, you know, we love each other as friends, and we always meet in parties and bigger gatherings, so we cannot really have such a deep conversation. And now this situation forced us to spend time really with each other and really have good conversation, and we learn so much more about each other than before. So in a way, it's also a blessing.
Yeah. We have to find the blessings in disguise, as they say. I mean, they're there all around. I'm sure that even though you also probably had lots of challenges, you will still have lots of challenges and difficulties. I hope you did find your silver linings, because there have been many.
Yeah.
And you know, I try to spread this kind of attitude first to myself as well, and also to everyone. Is just, you know, when you have this shitty situation, just ask yourself, why could this be good for me? And just do that. Have your focus on that part. This is, the mental message, mental health message.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So, yeah, another question I think about this whole trance music culture is, what does spirituality have to do with it? Because it always comes back, you know, on every forum, everywhere you listen people talk about it, or you read an article, and spirituality always comes up. So what does it have to do with this culture?
Well, I mean, there are obvious connections, right? Like obvious connections that that we kind of inherited from that hippies go to the East or to India, free their minds from the Western society's conditioning, so they start learning about Eastern religions or belief systems. learn more about all the belief systems of humanity, right? Of ancient belief systems that have been forgotten or repressed. And that kind of opens your mind, and that's kind of opening your spirit, isn't it? It's, you know, in some way these are connected. Are they?
Yeah, I think so. And
I mean, the stuff that is important for us, that's kind of connected to spirit, because it's not only your body's, cravings that you find important or you want to satisfy. Of course you do, but besides that, you don't feel good if it's not together with some spiritual fulfillment. You don't have to be really spiritual or mushy-mushy like I am usually to feel the importance of being spiritually balanced. And that does mean connectedness and being free to be yourself and being, loving and attentive and accepting towards others. Because that's kind of all mixed up in this huge bowl of psy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny to think about how it rolls down in a person, and I think the origins, the counterculture era, and the hippie movement, and the moving out to the east, and starting the new community, a new way of living your life, which is actually the old way. You just kind of go back. How tribal people used to live their lives and still do in only a very few places on Earth. I think our main problem, why so many people seek and why they so shocked by this experience, like a transformational festival, is that we live so much in our minds, and especially in the future in our minds. Now, so much of what we are taught, how to live, how to study, how to be a human, how to work, how to build your life, is always just in your head, in the future. And then you find yourself in this situation when you can completely empty your head of all these thoughts and worries and planning and stuff like this, and you get really connected to something else inside of you. And maybe this is what we call spirit, what is not your mind, but everything else that makes you as a human being. To me, this is what this spirituality means behind all this.
Yeah, I can agree. And I want to read the Rajaram part here.
Please do.
About the music and this whole transcendental experience that it can bring. Music is probably one of the most important things in all our lives. It is a transcendental experience that raises one's consciousness and creates a sense of well-being and comfort, not to mention joy and happiness, and a feeling of communities bound by a common cause of getting the groove together. So that's kind of along the lines you said. So I think, what are the key words? Music, freedom, love, transcendental experience, spirituality, consciousness, appreciate.
Now I can imagine some trance music under it, because sometimes they put these philosophical thoughts
No
into
wonder.
the music.
I mean, there's no amount of times you can repeat that to get it in your skull to understand it. Totally.
Right. And just wanted to say this little story, because I recently watched an interview report with a German woman who moved to Africa because she fell in love with a Maasai man, and she gave up her life in Frankfurt. So this is present Frankfurt. I don't know how
I had a bad
it.
joke. I just whispered the bad joke. No, it was Maasai woman, Frankfurt.
Not Frankfurt.
I know.
Frankfurt.
Hi guys, the Cyberbuzz are in the house.
Hello.
The day has started and it's going dark soon.
And they made an interview with her, like about this choice, and now she's living far from Western society and
She's
civilization,
happy with a massage.
and she's so freaking happy.
Being massaged. Oh my God, so terrible. I need more coffee. Sorry.
Help me. And yeah, she talks about how much happier they are generally as a community and a society, because they're so in sync with their human nature.
In sync with nature.
Yeah, and she was saying that she doesn't feel sorry for them for not having electricity and running water. She feels sorry for us, the Western societies, because we are so much more stressed and so much more depressed. And I was thinking of this when first time I went to Ozora, for example, and I see these people teaching each other the old ways, reteaching,
relearning
the old ways of how we're supposed to live in sync with nature and in sync with our own nature. And that what makes people so happy. So we should do that more. It shouldn't be just a week or 2 weeks. And that's why so many people leave behind the rat race and join these communities, and they spend their entire life seeking this truth.
Yeah, and this freedom of being able to recreate the person that is more natural on Earth, as part of Earth. I think this is very important for us all. So the music kind of brought us to this place where we could have the freedom to recreate ourselves, to be better and to feel better in this world. And you guys, I mean, until we can meet, I actually wanted to say this the last time I thought of this. I mean, do not forget that right now is the time where you can kind of implement everything that we kind of learn from each other and charge each other with. You can do this in your individual spaces right now. So this is like a nice little trial period of you putting to use and reality all the lovely shit that we kind of try to spread and believe in.
Yeah, just a different point of view, and yeah, teaching about how it used to be, and can be, and in some places is, which is not taught in the Western education.
Thankfully, more and more so, it's spreading to mainstream education systems, what we're talking about in our little transformational communities. No wonder, I think it was time. Also, if you believe or if you follow it, it is, I guess, the period which you can feel all around. It is a transformational period, I think, for humanity. And I think it is the period where you can choose the programs you would like to run, right? So I think it's no wonder that we're here. I think we need to, take what treasures are there from our ancient past and put it into the present, which will kind of affect all the timelines. I'm into non-linear time, and you should be too, because it's much more understandable, I guess, and you can live your lives better. Yeah, think of your present as the very best way to heal the past and build a future. It's all kind of interconnected. And I didn't even take anything yet today to speak about that.
Yeah. So just a few, I just wanted to say that there's, of course, there's other media and platforms, and many festivals start their own magazines and talks, podcasts about what this culture is made of. For us, we have the Ozorian Prophet, and we have the Radio Ozora that you're watching right now. And we try to include more and more platforms to reach more and more people, to give them food for thought. And I'm very, very proud in Ozora Festival of the Chambok House, which is the space where we invite lecturers to talk about these topics, so many topics from very, very wide range of topics, but it's all connected to this culture in a way, to original human culture. So if you're interested, on SoundCloud, you can search Chambocology, because many of the lectures were recorded, and you can listen to these really smart people, much smarter than us,
Much.
talk about these topics that they are expert in. So I think that's our time for today.
Yeah. I'm so happy I could blab with you, to you.
Sorry if we were a bit rusty, because it's been at least 1.5 months the last time we could really come
hopefully
together.
not so long until the next one.
Yeah, so we'll continue. We're still here. We're still alive, and
Take care and be nice.
Yeah, be nice. Bye, guys.